Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Stellar, Lumens, XLM on the exchange is our video today. Guys, XLM is one of our biggest bags here at the Whales of Wall Street. I absolutely love this one. The historic background, those that don't know, one of the founders of Jed came across from Ripple a few years ago now. And set up Stellar Org. There've been humongous developments, really. They're very heavily involved in central bank digital currency projects, technologies behind that, cross-border payments. So think similarly to the likes of Ripple, perhaps not so much the messaging aspect, but more like the actual technological blockchain aspect of it. And significant projects working with them, for example, the WireX app, absolutely brilliant for cross-border payments and crypto payments in general, and ramping or indeed linking up traditional money or real world money, if you like, with the likes of crypto as well. There's all these great things will happen with Stellar. We cover this quite a bit, and I'm really excited about this one. I'm holding it long term for sure. I think this is going to be an absolute giant in the future. But we want to talk today about a couple of announcements that came out in the last few days. Really interesting stuff here. As they've launched this basically today. The research reveals high awareness and growing cross-border use of cryptocurrency in 4 key markets. I'm not going to read through all of this, but it's very interesting. I'm not sure where the survey has come from. Hopefully they didn't just ask just crypto people, because obviously you're going to get a bit of a skewed result here anyway. But this is a really interesting article. This is a bit more of an overview of bringing out a few key points from the article, which we'll show you a bit of in a second. Do go download it. It's really informative, but it's very interesting to see how everyone's becoming really aware of crypto now. And I always thought like maybe 2024, 2025 is going to be one of the probably the last sort of big times that you can make some significant profits potentially out of crypto, because so many people will be jumping in. And it will arguably be at a stage and a period of full-on mass adoption, to be honest. But this article, stems from this report here, entering the mainstream cryptocurrency adoption in 2022. Some staggering numbers here. Look at this. So 80 million people own crypto or have a crypto wallet. It's an estimate that 3.9% of the global population owns cryptocurrency. It's still extremely low. It's higher than it was before, obviously, and that's understandable. But look how low that number is. But it is indeed growing. And actually, there's a really interesting point here that they made. One of these pages here, look at this. The market size of crypto has grown a staggering 149%, with the total cryptocurrency market cap reported to be 3.5 trillion in November 2021. It's obviously reduced since then. We've had a bit of a bear market at the moment, but I do remember in 2020 when I first started at the beginning of that year, it just kind of like massively exploded. And I remember it hitting near that $1 trillion mark, and everyone was like, wow, this is absolutely insane. No one thought, and everyone was like, oh, crypto will never be so high because it needs X amount of money put in. And I'm like, well, if you actually look at things like XDC, which you cover a lot, and they're going after the trade markets, you're talking about multi-trillions of dollars alone in that capacity. You've got trillions of dollars coming from the energy market, healthcare, all these mass markets that can utilize blockchain in a different way. And look at this, incredibly, this is the equivalent to the 8th largest economy in the world. That's pretty good going for something that's so new. But I'm super excited about XLM and all the other projects that relate to this kind of thing, especially ones that are related to CBDCs. But yeah, for sure, there's some really interesting statistics in there. I'm not going to go through it all because the idea, obviously, I think, is for them, you have to kind of put your email address and you get sent the document. But honestly, I've read through probably 3/4 of this, and it's absolutely brilliant information. I'm not too fussed about like the survey thing, how many people know this and that. I'm more interested in like the actual information outside of that. Where are we as a market? Where are we going technologically? And where are we going as a mass adoption aspect as well? So some staggering numbers in here. Really interesting information. I do recommend going to download it. Simply just go, I think you can find the article, to be fair, within Twitter. on their website. But if you just go onto their website anyway, in the press release section, you can find this article, and then you just simply go to the new survey section here, and then you get the opportunity to put in some details and download the document. And honestly, it is brilliant. So we just thought I'd throw a few top line bits of information out there. But yeah, they surveyed 10,000 people. I'm not sure how quantitative that was, or like, or qualitative, or whatever. Who they were asking and how they were asking, but very interesting to see. And it's good to see diversification as well in terms of different gender groups. Who has known or hasn't known, and who's interested in crypto, who thinks that crypto is going to take us to another level in terms of cross borders, and the opportunity to potentially remove things like inflation and money laundering, fraudulent activity, all this stuff, put countries on a level par with each other for once in our history. How lovely would that be to see everyone having a clean slate and an opportunity in this world. But yeah, very interesting indeed. And I'm sure as the next 2-3 years come by, these numbers will be unreal. I could imagine us seeing probably like $5 trillion in the next year and a half, I reckon, quite easily. The way that it's growing is just significant, and more projects are jumping on board. And to be fair, one of the key things that Stella was discussing recently as well was their aspect about, in the roadmap that we covered a while back, was talking about they want to get more and more projects on their system. They're ready to go, and I think we're going to see some really good price action, on Stellar. And I think, in fact, we'll talk about this now, because so many people are complaining about the XLM price for a long time. If you remember, it was like, it's boring, nothing's happening. I was like, guys, honestly, this is like the best time to be buying XLM, considering the powerhouse that it will be in the future. And we've been certainly taking advantage here at the Wells of Wall Street at these lower regions, playing around 16-70 cents. Couldn't believe it, really, that it was back down to these levels, and we're having the great opportunity to take advantage. And even at where it is right now, I mean, I'm not suggesting that you jump in straight away, because we have had a 42% increase from about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, back at the beginning of March. This isn't a nice positive play right now, but there's certainly areas that you could look at of interest to potentially take advantage of on the way down. I'm just going to try and move this. Don't want to move that one. I want to try and move my box. I'll have to move it manually. Don't worry about it. So yeah, for sure, floating right now with the price point, as we said, literally right now as of recording, I think 23 cents, just about 23 cents. So for me personally, I would be looking at that like 21 cent mark, and slightly under as well, just topping where we got this marker here in February, this not quite 20 cents, but probably just under it, because we might get some retests at these areas. Not saying it'll happen immediately, but we're in a bit of a limbo moment across the market right now, because we've had such a fluctuation of investment, FOMOing in, and people getting paid and this, that, and the other. It's happened at a really good time. Of course, we're at the end of the tax year soon here, particularly in the UK. So there's going to be a lot of movement, in my opinion. But this take up is quite significant across the market. In a multitude of assets, you see this similar pattern. But now for me, it's about this limbo moment of going, okay, we've tried to penetrate previous big tops here, like we saw on the 10th or 9th of February. And we've done that in the last 2 days and touched it. But the volumes are slowly reducing. You see that on the histogram, just down here. So you see a slightly pale green. That's not to say it's ending, but usually you get to see the full-on wave down. But actually this wave hasn't been significant, and that's proven as well in the price points. It's not a huge jump, like 7 cents, but it is, considering in the sense like how long it's been at these lower regions, and we're finally seeing some positive action. But that RSI, particularly on the 14-day, if you were purchasing XLM 2 weeks ago, it's for sure maybe potentially a good area to do some initial profit taking. But I'm not doing that personally. I've always just been accumulating XLM and chucking it into my ledger for the future. There are some assets literally I just don't want to touch and don't want to risk messing about with, particularly the XXX crypto. I don't tend to trade those, but some of them I do outside of those three, and this standard. Each one's got its own strategy basically. But for me, XLM is like with the others. I'm really just interested about like the 24, 25 years, not 25 years time. I mean 2024, 2025, when I believe CBDCs and everything like this will truly be switched on and start being used in the world. And that's where I think you're going to start seeing some significant movements on price. So for me, like, these prices right now are still beneficial. You could argue that, do you know what, I'm not going to wait till it comes down. I'm just going to get it now because I believe that XLM is going to be $1 or $5 in the next couple of years. Absolutely fine. But I do want to try always to accumulate the best way possible in as many dips as I can. So me personally, I'm just waiting a bit longer to see how we develop this. If it carries on taking up, fantastic. It just means the value goes up in our portfolios, right? But look at this, the previous all-time high back in May last year. We're approaching almost the year anniversary to this, 76 cents. Absolutely mental. And actually, if we go back to January last year, this is where we're actually floating around. And within that short space of 5 months, we're not quite there yet in that kind of level. But it's quite clear to me that we're already at these kind of nice levels in a drop. And if we do start seeing a bit of a bull market this year, I think we could penetrate and exceed that 80 cents mark quite comfortably potentially this year. We'll have to see how that plays out. That's my thoughts around that. But it's not going to be overnight, guys. No way. 12% up on the week, 28% up on the month. Still down on the 3 months like we are with most asset classes right now. But a couple of other taking points. And just to reiterate, where I think we might get a bit of sideways trading to determine whether we're coming down a bit or pushing it up to a bit more of a next level, is that this 70 mark on 14 days is quite respectable, but you do tend to mean in that area that there's a bit more in the tank potentially to push upwards a bit more as well. But on the 28 day, floating nearly around 60, that's quite top heavy in terms of it's gone over the 50% threshold. This is really intriguing for me. So I do expect that to come down to maybe like 55, 54 or something over the next few days potentially. And that's when I sort of think we'll have maybe a bit of sideways movements, and then we'll start determining, do we need to come down and correct and find new support levels, or are we ready to take it up to another level and see if we can find higher support areas as well. So it's going to be really interesting, in my opinion, not just for Stellar XLM, but a lot of projects out there. You can start to seeing now that the take up here, what I want to see is a nice reflection, correction, and then a bounce back up again. I'd be surprised if we start coming all the way back down here again, but who knows. And we might see some potential usual like Bitcoin leverage failures and things like that sometimes, and across the board, where you do get a significant drop in one day quite quickly. So always keep an eye on those, on the short and the long-term leverages that occur, and the futures. Sometimes they fail, and that can be a really quick snap opportunity before it starts going up again. So that's what I would say about that. But overall, my opinion stands. XLM for me personally is a long-term hold. I accumulate to literally put it into my ledger, not worry about it, and hope that I can accumulate as much XLM as possible. But for sure, for other people with different strategies, let us know in the comments below what you've been doing with XLM. Do you trade this one? Have you been buying in these drops, this lower area? I mean, unbelievable to again be in a position to get XLM under 20 cents. I think that's absolutely formidable. If it gets to 80 cents again, I may take some initial profits out, to be fair, because it might be an opportunity to reinvest and without using my own collateral, as it were. But like I said, some assets I just don't want to be risking with, and I'm happy to just ride the storm and just buy the dips. And there are indeed others in my portfolio that I just do the complete opposite to. Some I just use for games, like for my mind, to just practice trading, which is sometimes a good idea as well. But guys, let us know, as I said, in the comments below, what you're doing with your XLM. Are you still super excited about this one? What's your plan? Is it short-term, long-term, bit of both? But we will indeed catch up with XLM hopefully at the beginning of next week, and determine as well whether this came back down into our buy areas, or indeed if we took up to a further level. Let's see how that plays out. I'm super excited as always with Stellar, but do go and check out as well that document. Go and download it. It is an absolutely fascinating read. I enjoyed it, and I'm going to hopefully finish it tonight as well when I finish some of these videos. But until then, for the next video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.